sound cards have one essential component. This is the component that makes them work. It makes them a sound card. It is the DAC, the digital to analog converter. What is a digital to analog converter? Well, it takes ones and zeros and turns them into an analog signal. Analog, it's intense, so instead of having a signal that's either on or off, it's got a signal that's either off or in many states above off. So let's say there's 256 states, and you can activate those states at any time, and you can use the combination of those to generate a sound. There can be many more than 256 states, but there generally isn't. So, that's the digital to analog converter. It takes ones and zeros and turns them into a more ranged number. How does it do that though? Well, it's actually programmed to receive something, and it has a driver in it. So you know how when you're installing a graphics card you get, oh, you need the driver for this graphics card. Well, that's pretty much what it does. It's got a driver, and the ones and zeros from the computer are programmed for this. So the ones and zeros go into the DAC, and the DAC knows what those combinations of ones and zeros mean to make a sound. So that's the digital to analog converter. What's next? Well, this one's interesting. This one isn't as essential as the DAC, but quite a few sound cards have them. The operational, doesn't have to be an operational amplifier, the amplification circuit, which generally uses an operational amplifier, because that's how amplification works. So, pretty much, it gets a signal and it adds it, it puts voltage into the signal and amperage, because, because it would have a resistance, and V times R equals I. That's a pretty good calculation. So it takes the input and it raises the wattage of it. So it adds voltage and it makes it more watts. But what can you do about these? Well, you can make different ones. There's the sound card, I forgot who it was made by, where it actually had two operational amplification circuits. And you could actually take out the integrated circuits, so like the tiny silicon chips, and you could actually customize the amount of sound. Now, one thing that you could have on the end, which is generally not put there anymore, but a potentiometer. This thing could control the output of sound, and you find it on most stereos, like systems. Little knobs that you can turn the volume up and down on and stuff like that. That's some pretty good stuff. Alright, now we get to the input and output ports, the I/O. Well, it can be anything. You could have two wires coming out, which would be, well, two wires coming out that would have the signal. You could have a auxiliary cable, AUX, going out, and that would, output to most things, like speakers. Some headphones actually have DACs built into them, like the Razer Krakens. And, well, that's just for the more basic sound cards. Now we get into the production level sound cards where you get MIDI ports, where you can control keyboards through them. And for some reason game ports, because some things can be controlled by them, but like, I just hacksaw them off. Use them. Right, so we've talked about all that shit. What's next? Well, even more professional. You get the 0.25 inch jack, which is like a really big AUX connector, and well, it's used as a bigger AUX connector. So you'll find these in more, like guitars. Most electric guitars will output through this 0.25 inch jack. Well, alright. Well, if that's how it works, then why are they so damn expensive and why are there so many different types? Well, there's consumer ones which go up to like $40, $100. Production grade ones, which you could take in multiple inputs and stuff like that. So you would have a DAC and an ADC, analog to digital converter. So the DAC, digital analog converter, converts digital to analog, and an ADC, or as I like to call it, analog to digital converter, that takes the analog from a microphone and it turns it into the digital for a computer. Yeah, so sound cards are really cool. What about 7.1 audio? Or 5.1? Or quadraphonics? Well, firstly, what is 7.1? It's 7 speakers and 1 subwoofer. Same with 5.1. 5 speakers, 1 subwoofer, and quadraphonic is, quad, 4, phonic, sound. So it's like how on old keyboards you had monophonic, where you could only press 1 key at a time, and polyphonic, where you could press up to a certain number. It's like that with speakers. Okay, now, should you get a sound card? Yes. And no. Depending... Fuck, this place is a shitty echo. Depending on what you do. If you are an audiophile and you use your motherboard sound, definitely. 100% go it. But if you're just a regular person who watches YouTube videos and doesn't really care about sound, just use your onboard motherboard sound. Unless you've got the cheapest motherboard of all time. Okay, now if you want to look further into this topic, on operational amplifiers, because I don't feel like I've explained them enough, I'm going to recommend a video by Great Scott in his Electronics Basics series. That's a brilliant series. I would recommend the YouTuber too, if you're not watching him yet. He makes proper electrical engineering videos. What else can a sound card have? Well, if you get really high, you get, customization. And you also get electromagnetic plating. What is electromagnetic plating? Well, I'm glad you didn't ask, because I'm talking right at you right now. Well, electromagnetic interference is pretty basic. When you have a wire, that wire will output electromagnetic force. So the electricity is creating a magnetic field around it. Now, what does that sound like in headphones? Doesn't sound very good. Now, some motherboards these days, higher end ones, have little plates on them. You can't really see them. In their DACs to prevent them from interference. And in digital stuff, the interference isn't really that high. It's when you get to analog where the magnetics can actually get into the wire. That's how wireless electricity works. So it goes from one coil to another coil, and then you get crossovers and disgusting. And it doesn't sound very good, so DACs are almost always better. There is a DAC on your motherboard if it's got sound, of course. What else? Like and subscribe, I guess. Thanks for watching. Hopefully more videos in the future. Yay! I really need to invest in a fainting couch.